Buckle up, guys, because we have a lot to talk about today. AI has legitimately been exploding lately, faster than I've ever seen it grow before, and today's AI news video is no exception. So let's jump right into it, starting off with a leak from OpenAI about GPT 4.5. So here we are on Reddit. This is where the leak was originally posted, the OpenAI Reddit page. Anyone hear of a GPT 4.5 drop today? And then they posted this, which seems to be a draft of a page or a blog post by OpenAI for GPT 4.5. If we go ahead and take a closer peek at this image, there's actually some really wild stuff here. Now, a lot of people are saying that this leak is official and this is real, but it's more of an accidental whoopsie leak than a real true like, oh crap, this shouldn't have came out. So yeah, a lot of people are thinking this is intentional by OpenAI to drive up some hype. Anyways, most advanced model yet, obviously GPT 4.5, brings multimodal capabilities, which we already saw with GPT-4 Vision, but we're seeing now across language, audio, vision, video, and 3D, alongside complex reasoning and cross-modal understanding. Now, I do want to say this looks promising, however, I would still take it with a grain of salt. This could all be lies. There's no official confirmation on any of this. So there's a big asterisk next to all of this. There's the base regular GPT 4.5 chat model. At a whopping cost of 6 cents per 1,000 tokens for input and output of 18 cents per 1,000 tokens, which is really expensive, like majorly expensive. This is something that honestly leads me to believe that this could be more legit than we previously thought. I think if someone wanted to drive up a fake hype leak, they'd make it a little bit cheaper. Like, these prices are disturbingly realistic. But things get even crazier as we move up to the GPT 4.5 64K context window model here, leading us to believe that the original GPT 4.5 model is going to have a context length of around maybe 32K, which isn't bad by any means, but it's not the whopping 128,000 context window that we currently see with GPT-4 Turbo. Anyways, this 64K context length GPT 4.5 is supposedly going to cost 12 cents every 1,000 tokens for input and a whopping 36 cents for every 1,000 tokens of output. And then finally, we have a GPT 4.5 audio and speech model, goes by minute obviously instead of tokens, so a little over a cent per minute input and a little over 2 cents per minute output. You can see there's also a vision and 3D pricing calculator. Again, this looks pretty legit to me. Like, my intuition here is that this is real. And it looks like it would be announcing soon, honestly. It's something that I would expect. There's a host of brand new capabilities that we just haven't seen before. These implications are absolutely massive. First, I want to touch on this GPT 4.5 audio and speech model. The fact that audio and speech are separate leads me to believe that this is a little bit more than just speech to text like OpenAI's current Whisper platform. This leads me to believe that it can actually understand nuanced audio, like the sound of a train horn or the sound of you burping or something like that. It can take that information in and understand what it means. The current audio models baked into ChatGPT can only understand your speech. Of course, the vision, we're just expecting a better version of the current GPT-4 vision model. Video, well, that's a whole nother thing as well. I assume it would be built off of the current vision model, probably have a little bit worse capabilities than the vision model, because as we know, video is just a lot of images happening really quickly. Google claimed to have a video model themselves, but I think after that whole Gemini drama, which I didn't really talk about on this channel, TLDR on that, the Gemini demo wasn't really as impressive as they made it out to be. I am really hoping this is something more legit and more real. Now, 3D is also a huge thing here. Does this mean we'll be able to scan objects with our phones? Does it mean we can upload 3D assets and it will be able to understand those? Not too sure on the 3D. Let me know what your best guesses are for the 3D model down in the comments. And of course, we're also getting a huge bump with this model in the complex reasoning, just a better large language model overall, and cross-modal understanding, meaning it can compare the characteristics between, a piece of sound and something physically material in 3D in the world, or maybe it can listen to, the audio of glass breaking on the floor and look at a video of a glass breaking on the floor and be like, those are the same thing. Essentially, use all of its quote-unquote senses or multimodal capabilities at once to understand understand something as a whole. But again, this is all just leaks, really exciting stuff. I think if this is legit, we are going to see it pretty soon, maybe the beginning of next year or even before the end of the year. Let me know what you guys think about this though. If this is all true and it works well with OpenAI's good track record, well, we could potentially be seeing the biggest game changer in the AI landscape since GPT 4 dropped. Really, really exciting. By the way, this supposed leak was posted about 8 hours ago. A lot of people in the Reddit comments noted that this URL was internal, so if it is a leak, it has to be from an OpenAI team member. The jury is absolutely out on whether or not this is legit. Now, speaking of Google and their Gemini launch, it looks like they're actually trying to price out OpenAI. Now, this is brought to us from Brian G on Twitter. The pricing from the new Gemini Pro API is extremely competitive against OpenAI's pricing. It looks like you can do 60 API queries per minute for entirely free. Google's using a lot of that cash they got stored in the bank to take a little loss in an attempt to gain more of the market just by outpricing. Brian G has a really good point here that 60 API queries per minute for free is sufficient for 90% of developers looking to create something with AI, especially considering that Gemini Pro is not a bad model at all. It's about equivalent, give or take, with the free version of ChatGPT. Well, it's pretty tempting. Taking a closer look here, the only catch here is that everything you input and output through the API is sent back to Google to improve their AI over time. Honestly, for the price of free, I don't think that's too bad. I know a lot of people get iffy about data, I understand that, but for a completely free API like this, not bad. So if you want to do more than 60 queries per minute, they have a pay-as-you-go system, which is incredibly cheap. The price per 1,000 characters after 60 queries per minute is a quarter of a cent per 1,000 characters. So just fractional costs here. This is extremely cheap. And then every image is a quarter of a cent. So a cent per 4 images of input. Output is twice the cost per every 1,000 characters. But again, this is still extremely cheap. This incredibly aggressive pricing from Google signals that they want to start to gain market share. It doesn't matter if Gemini isn't necessarily as good as they propped it up to be. It's good enough for a lot of AI applications right now, and by simply outpricing OpenAI, they might be able to gain some very significant footing. Now, I keep saying this, and mark my words, I still think at the end of the day, when all things are said and done, open source is going to reign supreme. It allows the most flexibility, the most privacy, and you know what? It will be the cheapest. And the open source rate of development is faster than any company, at least right now. And guess what, guys? We've got even more from Google. Google has released their Imagen 2 text-to-image model. They say this is their most advanced diffusion technology yet. High-quality photorealistic outputs and stronger consistency with prompts than the original Imagen. If we go to the main launch website, which I will link down below, we can see some pretty impressive outputs. The prompt here was a shot of a 32-year-old female, up-and-coming conservationalist in a jungle, athletic with short curly hair and a warm smile. Yeah, I mean, you could have fooled me if this was a real photo or not. Pretty darn good output, but nothing we haven't seen from the likes of DALL-E 3 or even Midjourney. Jellyfish on a dark blue background. It looks very realistic. Again, nothing that I wouldn't expect out of Midjourney or DALL-E 3 though. This one's a little bit more impressive because of how complex the prompt is. Orange on a chopping board, canvas oil painting, light is passing through orange segments. So yeah, this is a more complex prompt, but still I think that DALL-E 3 is much more impressive and was much more impressive when it was announced. This image also points something out to me as well. While it is fairly accurate to its prompt, it has a robin, his beak is open. If we look, his feet are kind of meshing and melding in with the stick in the background. It's photorealistic, but some of the finer details still need to be ironed out here. This model is not perfect. Now, what's really cool and something that DALL-E 3 doesn't have is advanced in-painting and out-painting. So as you can see, you can add a bookshelf onto this image right here, and it works pretty darn well. Again, you could always use this in-painting and out-painting model with a DALL-E 3 generation, or even use Photoshop's generative fill, which is really competitive as well. So this is definitely cool to see, but again, nothing game-changing here. Now, I don't want to say that these outputs aren't impressive and that this isn't, you know, some top-of-the-line model, because it absolutely is. But with Google, I expect some competition with OpenAI. They're closing the gap to OpenAI, but they haven't closed it yet. However, this is something that they are closing the gap on. That's right, we have another Google announcement here. They've updated their AI music generator. This is brought to us by Paul Covert on Twitter. Anyone can describe the music and create a track. This is text to music. They call it Music Effects. You can try it for completely free, and you can use it in any browser. Paul gives us a little demo here, which is pretty impressive overall. I don't know if you guys have seen my Suno AI demo. I think Suno AI is still just a little bit better than this, but my god is it competitive with what Suno does. Take a listen to this. Not bad at all. You can also see here that you do specific prompts like country music that's joyful and lively with acoustic guitar, harmonica, and it's fast. Again, this is completely free too, which is really nice. Paul has a few more demos I want to take a quick peek at. As you can see, you can pretty much type in any prompt you want, like ambient sounds I would listen to by the ocean. It will still turn that into music no matter what, but it definitely follows your prompt. Not bad. Paul also shows off the fact that it analyzes your prompts, and you can actually go ahead and click on any of them and immediately change some of the main describing words inside of it. It's a really cool concept, and I like the interaction with the AI here. This is some really cool UI design. But yeah, the AI is doing some fairly good music generation here. No lyrics, but it absolutely can understand themes and instruments, and there's very little distortion in the audio that it generates. Not bad at all. This one might deserve a full video of its own, so let me know if you want to see that down in the comments below. Maybe we'll do some direct comparisons to Suno AI? It's very competitive. Now here's one that I wasn't expecting at all. Runway ML is coming out with their own text-to-speech model. Classically, I think a lot of you would agree with me that 11 Labs kind of runs the game when it comes to text-to-speech generation. Very realistic voices, instant voice cloning, very good pricing. However, I gotta say, this is some really, really exciting text-to-speech generation. Very high quality, very, very competitive. It sounds real. And of course, this little clip is brought to us by Dave Villalva, again, from Twitter.
The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation that is to come.
I mean, dude, that was some seriously good text-to-speech. I'm gonna play that again for you. Listen to the quality levels here. It sounds real.
The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation that is to come.
Man, that is competitive. It's very expressive and natural. As you can see, they have a bunch of different voices you can pick from here in this little demo. American, young, feminine, masculine, British, Australian, video games, meditation. I mean, the list goes on. And then they also have some specific names like most generators do have. So it looks like they'll have a plethora of high-quality voices to pick from right off the bat. And it's a very, very simple thing. You have some settings you can mess with as well, and you can just type your text out and it will generate it. So they're going to do that same exact text now with Katie and then James.
The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation that is to come.
Man, that is realistic. I mean, listen to that. You gotta be kidding. You can hear the person breathe. Again, the narration is very professional sounding, but that doesn't change things here. It sounds real.
The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation that is to come.
I mean, you want to talk about mind blows? That text-to-speech is dang impressive, dude. Best of luck to you with that, 11 Labs. You're gonna have to step up your models. Oh, and the news doesn't stop there, guys. We've got some Midjourney V6 news, finally. This is coming from Nick Floats on Twitter, a very, very good account if you want to keep up with AI news. This is all information that came from the Midjourney office hours. Their website that you can actually generate on is still being tested, but it's opening up to more and more users over time. The Midjourney V6 model, which is highly anticipated, should be released sometime next week. Hello? Get subscribed if you want to see a video on that. I will absolutely be covering it when it comes out. The Midjourney website's also going to get folders and collections, which is nice to see. Native iOS app also in the works. Again, for Midjourney to be competitive here in my book, it's really going to have to be at least close to DALL-E 3 levels of quality, which is very difficult to beat, because in my opinion at least, DALL-E 3 is leaps and bounds better than current Midjourney version 5.2. So we've got some news from Stability AI, of course the creators of the legendary Stable Diffusion image generation models. They're introducing Stable Zero, a quality 3D object generation model from single images. So essentially you upload an image to this thing and then it generates 3D. This is their little demo example here. It looks really impressive actually. Very realistic 3D generation all from an image. The model demonstrates 3D understanding of object appearance from various angles with notably improved quality over their previous models. This model currently is released as open source, which is pretty exciting. However, it's only for non-commercial and research use at the moment. But given Stability AI's open source track record, I think we could see this being released fully open source for commercial use at some point in the future. The big catch here is that 3D objects currently require more time and memory. About 24 gigabytes of VRAM is recommended to generate with this thing. So can you use it on your own machine at home? Absolutely not. But this is the start of AI 3D models, and I'm very excited. This quality is pretty mind-blowing. The fact they were able to animate it this well shows us that this thing is no slouch. Now, this is a bombshell. One of the bigger pieces of AI news that we're talking about today. Mistl AI, which has been the king of open source AI lately, introduced a Mistl 8x7b model that is a really impressive large language model that can run completely free on a lot of machines locally. This Mistl 8x7b model that's fully open source is actually a little bit better in some people's cases than GPT 3.5 Turbo, which says a lot. Anyways, this is even crazier. This Mistl 8x7b model is going to be offered on the AnyScale Endpoints API with an astonishing price of 50 cents per 1 million tokens. Insanely cheap to run. And again, this model is pretty much as good as OpenAI's GPT 3.5 Turbo. They're also adding in JSON mode and function calling to this for devs, which is really cool. Not to mention this Mistl 8x7b model has been reported to do flawless function calling. This is something that GPT 4 even struggled with a little bit. So really nice to see this ironed out in this model. Here's another little mind blow from Mistl 8x7b. This model is running at 27 tokens per second of generation completely locally. This is running on one of those M processor Macs, so they typically lend themselves quite good to LLMs, but still really impressive that all of this can run locally on essentially a laptop. We've also got another piece of news from Microsoft, surprisingly. They announced this Phi-2 small large language model, very small, at a size of only 2.7 billion parameters. Keep in mind, GPT-4 is over 100 billion parameters. What's crazy about this tiny little Phi-2 2.7 billion parameter model is that it actually competes with the Llama 2 model, which is about 27 times the size. That's right, the Llama 2 model at 70 billion parameters scores very similar to Phi-2 in a lot of these benchmarks. Super competitive. What's even cooler is that this tiny little model even competes with Mistl 7b. So these models just get smaller and smaller and more efficient and more efficient. Really, really impressive from Microsoft. I'm going to move on to our final piece of news, but I would look into this one a little bit more. This one flew under the radar for a lot of people. So finally, I would love to touch on Pika 1.0. Everything I'm going to show you had approval from Pika Labs. Pika is currently in a very small beta at the moment, which I thankfully am in. And I gotta say, it is the best text-to-video generation or AI video generation I've seen yet. But this is coming very soon. Pika Labs 1.0 is on its way, and I just want to show you some examples to end off with. So first up, we've got a little example of a Super Bowl robot beer ad. We can see the beer generation is looking quite good. All of the bots making the beer looks quite realistic. And overall, it has good text-to-image video. Nothing leaps and bounds ahead, but still better than we've seen before. So here is an anime-style generation made with Pika Labs. This one's really impressive, I think. It's actually shockingly good now at doing these anime-style generations, and I think this is one of the first areas that it's going to excel in to the point where we can't tell if it's real or not. Overall, really impressed by all of this. One of the bigger mind blows I've seen. We've also got a somewhat photorealistic Western as well. Like, that's a really good shot in itself. This one's a really nice detailed close-up. It's kind of crazy how good it is at creating these more realistic scenes now. Here we can see very good use of the modify region feature, which is one of the main selling points of Pika 1.0, where Tom Hanks in this case was replaced with a 3D animated raccoon, and it looks shockingly legit. It looks shockingly much like a real movie. The raccoon characters look very alive, and they look very natural in the scene that they're in. Just shows you this new video inpainting, how powerful it can be. Like, honestly, crazy good. And keep in mind, guys, literally all you have to do is highlight someone's face, type a prompt in, and then it generates the video for you. Like, just absolutely insane. Finally, we have this little video here, which shows off more of that video inpainting feature and shows you what it can do to just a regular video. You can give this guy a hat that looks very real, mind you. Like, that one's almost undetectable. Another jacket that looks, pretty animated, but still isn't bad and would take you a long time to do with traditional VFX. And as the video plays on, you can convert buildings into trees that look pretty realistic as well. Oh, even turn yourself into a polar bear. Look how easy that was. But yeah, I'm not going to show you all of these. Definitely check out Min Choi's thread, and credit to all these original creators who made these amazing little Pika demos. Everything, of course, is linked down in the description below. Whew, so that was a lot. I'm so excited for the future of AI. Things are evolving at a rapid pace. I've got so much more to talk about on this channel. Get subscribed. I have a lot of awesome stuff coming in the future. I have a whole list of things that I'm trying to get through, and I promise to deliver you guys good, up-to-date content on all of it. Thanks so much for watching. Check out the Discord server if you want to get a little bit more integrated with the AI community, and if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest advancements. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time, and goodbye.